PhonePay Pulse, Beat of Progress, powered by Money Control.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the PhonePay Pulse Beat of Progress conversation series. Today, with users becoming very comfortable with digital payments, fintech players are making efforts to bring the next wave of digital financial inclusion by simplifying what are traditionally thought of as complex products such as insurance or investments. This warrants a differentiated approach towards customer engagement that helps overcome the barriers associated with buying such products through traditional channels. And on this note, I would like to welcome Hemant Gala, who leads the financial services business at PhonePay. Welcome, Hemant. Delighted that you could join us in this edition of the Beat of Progress podcast series.
Thank you. Great to be here on this podcast.
So, Hemant, I'll begin with a very higher level question and then would love to have a conversation on some of the specifics. So, over the past couple of years, there's been a massive shift in consumer behavior, which we see across financial services, but specifically in insurance and mutual funds. What do you think have been the drivers or game changers for the industry?
I think yes, I think there's been a massive shift in consumer behavior that we see in both these categories. I'll take each category at a time and delve a little bit deeper. If you look at mutual funds, in general, the entire focus on SIPs and getting people to invest through SIPs, which is systematically investing in a regular basis, has helped change in the way people were looking at in mutual fund investments. People now realize the power of investing regularly and in a systematic way, which is led to a huge inflow of funds into mutual funds. The other thing also has happened is, coupled with that, the UPI based SIP now live. It's become very easy for customers to start doing SIP. It's not very complicated. The UPI based SIP is just like your UPI transaction. It becomes very easy for people to place SIP, pause SIP, restart SIP. So the fact is that people have understood the power of systematic long term investment, and the process of placing an SIP has even become very easy. The second factor which is playing on people's mind is diversification and long term approach. I think over time people have realized that investments like mutual funds are not something which are short term; they need long term, and they play an important role in diversifying your portfolio beyond the traditional investment options. So that is really working out well, and people realizing the power of diversification. That's on the mutual fund side. If you look at insurance, the I think insurance has been seeing a steady growth. What has made a massive shift is the entire COVID cycle. COVID has made people realize the real risk gap and the need for them and their loved ones to be covered. Be it health insurance, life insurance, people are really understanding are realizing the fact that they need to have cover for themselves, so that in an unprecedented situation they are well, financially well covered at least. The digital momentum, which is the other factor which has happened, is post COVID. People have realized it's the power of being able to buy digitally. It's far more easier and simpler for people to be able to engage through digital modes and buy products. Insurance was seen as a complicated product, but there are products and there are journeys now available for people to buy products digitally. So that has really worked well. Lastly, I think both the categories, the ability to be able to democratically disseminate information or educate people on what the product really is, translate the features of the product, the importance of those investments or the risk covers, has made it very easy and efficient for platforms to reach out to people. So that is also playing a big role.
Yeah, I think, like you said, critical mass of many things coming in. One of the things we've seen in payments, and obviously you've been a critical part of that as well, is a very forward-thinking and supportive regulatory and policy environment. Are you seeing something very similar that's helping drive the growth in financial services too?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think both at the policy side and at the regulatory side, I've seen massive amount of effort being put. A very strong intent to drive penetration, and penetration which is very inclusive. So inclusive growth in a way where the penetration reaches beyond tier one to tier two, tier three, tier four, and there is meaningful adoption of financial products, of insurance products. There's great amount of effort underway. Examples like on the insurance side, when you see massive schemes like Ayushman Bharat or Jan Arogya Yojana, which has been launched by government. Ayushman Bharat covered a a massive segment of the society with insurance they were which were not exposed to or covered with an insurance product. What it leads, has led to is a very strong awareness of people, on the insurance product. It gets their journey started, and with the base cover in place, they understand the power of insurance, and then over time, it seeds the desire to have much wider cover for themselves. On the regulatory side as well, I think, for example, in IRDA in recent times, in the last few months, have made so many changes to the guidelines, just making the entire insurance process far more easier for insurance companies to be able to file product much more faster and launch product. The entire concept of use and file, and which was there, but fastening the entire product launch journeys, giving more power in the hands of insurance to be able to design and innovate on the kind of products that they want. There's great amount of focus and effort that IIT is putting. They're also easing the entry of newer insurers, which in a way will just expand the ecosystem with more players coming in, with more products coming in, and with more innovation happening. I think India as a country, we are so diversified from geography, from demographics, from socio-economic status. I think it needs many more players and many more products. So the regulator there is playing a very proactive role. SEBI also on the other side has been driving a lot of consumer awareness. It's there has been a lot of awareness driven through MFI, which is again an association which is set up by the Indian mutual fund players with motivation with from SEBI. I think they are doing a massive amount of effort in educating the customers. So in all, SEBI is also easing out entering of new asset management company, new AMC players who could come in, launch newer kind of products, launch more innovative products. And broking industry has been thriving last 2 years. We've seen that. So all in all, I think there's been a great amount of focus, like I said, with what I see very clear is the intent to drive penetration and a very inclusive growth, where
Yeah.
the larger India becomes a participant to the investment journeys or investment products, or also as a is a participant in a way where they can cover their lives, their health, their assets from insurance.
Yeah. So, you spoke about this whole democratization mindset, the inclusion, the initiatives taken by regulators both on product as well as awareness. As we think, just switching gears from what's led to the growth over the recent years, but now thinking the next 5 to 10 years, do you think it's more of the same, or do we need to do, as an industry, do we need to do other things that will help drive growth, whether it's in investments or in insurance or anything else in the financial services space?
There's a I think a complete relook at the way we need to do. I think a lot of effort underway right now from all players, in a way where bunch of things have happened. Right, one, the entire digital adoption, the way smartphones have penetrated, data has penetrated, and the way people are engaging increasingly more through smartphones, creating digital journey, digital first approach, creating flows which are very easy and simpler for customers is going to be critical to drive adoption. Creating products which are very customer centric, in a way where there are simpler products which is easier for people to understand, to get their journey started before they go get onto a very complex kind of products. Customer education, creating the right kind of awareness and education with the customers on the kind of product. What I mean also is that it's not just dissemination of information, but it is about being very contextual, giving them the right product at the right time, being able to provides assistance which is digital, but in a way where they feel that they know and they understand the product far more deeply. I think would be key. The other very important aspect is, like we've seen UPI, one key reason for the growth of UPI has been has a very open approach to payments. Everyone's participating, and everyone's partnering with each other in a way where it is creating a very deeply interoperable platform. Likewise, I think on financial services, it will in the open approach to to looking at products, to looking at solutions, to looking at distribution will play a very critical role. I think as everyone partners very deeply, as people open up far more, on products, on solutions, on on journeys, I think it will lead to a lot more adoption. People will find it much more easier. The participants will be far more motivated in driving those products across to their customers.
Yeah. No, I think, and just to kind of set context for the listeners, as we know, despite all of the progress we've made in India on financial services, we are still a laggard relative to developed markets or even to global averages when it comes to insurance penetration or even participation in the stock market. And like you said, a lot of the challenges around distribution, customer awareness, education, product, I think these are things that we all need to focus on to drive the next wave of growth. So, just wanted to pivot more to you putting on a PhonePay hat now. How is PhonePay solving these challenges that you spoke about?
So, I'll come to that, and I'll also touch upon the fact that you just started off with, and I'll start off with that one, is the penetration. And when you are looking at penetration, yes, yeah, India is way below in the kind of penetration that is needed, and we run with that mission with the fact that we could drive value to people's life, and by creating the right kind of products and the right kind of solutions. I mean, if you look at an insurance penetration at an average, I think at our current GDP levels, it is at between 3 to 4%. And when you look at emerging geographies, I think which far more larger GDPs are at 7 to 8%. So effectively, there is much lower penetration that we see in the country today, and there's a long way to go. Even on capital markets, I think the current penetration is around I think 7 to 8%, at the current GDP levels, and while as advanced economies see anywhere between 30 to 50% of kind of a penetration. I think there it is important to couple of factors. There are a few factors which play an important role. One, distribution. I think distribution has been largely focused on till now India has seen a very offline based distribution, and I think the approach to distribution has to change to make it far more digital. And there is a reach which needs to be created, because there is I always think this is how India is. There's the first 100 million, which is the tier 1, which is the India, and then there's tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, which is the Bharat 1, Bharat 2, Bharat 3. And for that kind of those kind of geographies, as we penetrate deeper in tier 2, tier 3 segments, I think being able to reach to those, creating a distribution which can reach to the masses. And there's this thing that goes hand in hand, which is reach and use. So one, you create a reach so that you explain the product to them, and then you get them into a engagement and an adoption cycle. You engage with them on the product, and then that engagement over time leads to adoption. So one, creating the reach, then that leads to some kind of engagement or usage of the product, which leads to adoption. This is a cycle which needs to be covered. And this is where we are trying to play an important role. PhonePay as a company, we know we have today a massive amount of distribution that we have created on the payment rails, and I think that distribution is really ready for us to be able to go out and give them the kind of products. What we are doing at our end is creating very simple products and very simple flow, so that, like I said, once with the reach, we create a very simple products which drive some kind of engagement, adoption, and which over time leads to deeper engagement on very complex products. What we are also doing, and is really important, is create right kind of trust, because financial services product, we've spent a lot of time last 3 4 years in trying to understand what customer needs, and taken one product at a time, explain the product, went very into very depth with the product on the app, on the flows, on education with the customer, and in a way where it ensures that the customer has a fair amount of trust on the platform and the product that we are offering to them. Which I think in a financial services journey is really important. So yeah, I think this is what we are trying to do. We are trying to ride on the base that we have, which is not just the India, but the Bharat 1, Bharat 2, Bharat 3, and create the reach for every partner in that we are tying up with. So we are a very partnership oriented company. We've partnered with a lot of insurance companies, a whole lot of mutual fund companies, working with them, and in that partnership, taking those products to the hinterlands and not just keep it limited to the tier one segment, solving for both tier one and beyond. Second, creating products and solutions which are very simple to start with, and in a way where it engages the customer, which eventually leads to deeper adoption. Keeping a very customer first approach, very focused on driving education at every step of the journey that the customer is buying the products with. I think that is what we are trying to do over time. This we are sure will, we are already seeing that playing out, but we'll see sure that will create a lot of trust with the customer, because this is a very serious play. It is not about just offering a product to the customer and being done with it. It is a lifelong journey or relationship that you are creating with customers on financial services. And so trust is something that we have, we think we have earned a lot of trust with the customer, and we'll solve for it riding on that.
Right. So just picking up on this notion of making sure insurance goes to the hinterlands in Bharat, tier one, tier two, and so on. And also the point you made that customer awareness and education plays an important role in driving that adoption. I think one of the things that's quite refreshing to see is the investment made by PhonePay in marketing for insurance, and the campaigns have been quite different. Can you share a little bit more color on that, the thought process behind the campaigns that have been recently running?
Sure. I think yes, we've tried to take a slightly different approach, where, and this is basically originating from the fact that we've heard a lot of customers, and we've talked to a lot of customers across the country, and spoken to them, understood what they think about insurance, how they want to engage with insurance, why do they buy, what keeps them away, what are the factors. There are few things that came up. One, I think people in general feel that insurance is a very complicated journey, is a very complicated process. That's one. Second, people feel that it is overwhelming. If you have to go through the entire insurance application process, which actually is not the case. And that's where I think what we did is first invested very deeply on the tech side, on the app, to create journeys like on two-wheeler bike insurance today, literally in 3 to 4 hops. People can buy a two-wheeler policy and be done with it in minutes. Whereas something which could which they were used to filling long forms, giving application, waiting for the confirmation and the policy to come into them later on, versus here is a flow which is available to them to buy a bike insurance or two-wheeler insurance in minutes, with the policy right in their on their app or in their inbox, in their email, if they want to. So this is the approach that we took. One, told them people, so insurance is not something which is it's a complicated journey. It is actually very simple. It is actually very easy. And so that's where we went with that tagline called no tension insurance. Insurance is not something which should give you tension. It is something which is easing tension in your life. And it is not very complicated journey. It is very simple for you to to buy insurance in a very simple way. uh, there is no stress in buying the insurance. You don't need to be dependent on anyone, and you don't need to be pestered with a lot of phone calls saying, "Sir, buy insurance, buy insurance." Buy it at your convenience. Buy it in a journey which is very easy and simple, and buy it at your time, and you have the power in your hands, because the policy is residing in your phone, which can be pulled in whenever you need it. So that is what we focused on with the insurance campaign. Not going with the flow where, or with the message where this is a very serious product that you're getting into, this is very complicated. I think there are a lot of myths that needs to be busted. We've done that, starting with first creating a real experience which is very simple, easy, and then explaining that to the customer, saying, look, it's not very complex, it's not very tension laden. It's a very simple process.
Excellent. So, Hemant, just wanted to round it out with a question on impact, right? So much has been said about PhonePay's scale on payments, but I think would love to hear from you about the impact in financial services, whether it's in insurance or investments. You also have gold and silver on the platform. Would be great to hear your views on that.
Sure. So I think right since beginning, we've taken a very partnership-led approach to both these categories. We partnered very deeply with the industry across, took inputs, took feedback, learned a lot from them, and have created you know, a lot of products today. On the insurance side, we have all three lines of businesses up and running. You know, life insurance, health insurance, and general insurance. Motor insurance by far is the broadest, you know, in terms of the category that we have. But there's a lot of work that we have done in the, you know, in the last 2 years. We've put in all this effort to create all the partnerships, bring products up and running, resulting in, I think, over 2 million policies that we have sold till date. At the peak of COVID, we partnered with, you know, insurance companies to create a COVID specific product which could actually cover people who have not you know, undergone or not you know, detected of COVID. And you know, eventually it gets detected, they get covered. And created the kind of reach which, you know, saw more than 500,000, you know, policies being sold. So you know, there's a literally 500,000 lives that we covered with a very COVID specific product right at the peak of COVID, which really helped people, you know, meeting their medical expenses. On the two-wheeler side, again, like I said, you know, people think it's very complicated. Just as an example, a two-wheeler, you know, a lot of times if it is expired, needs you know, inspection and all. Our flows don't need any inspection. Even on four-wheeler side, right, we've created a product where, you know, there are, if the policy is expired and you need to do an inspection, we have a digital self inspection flow where through the app itself you capture pictures and, you know, send it across, and the insurer will take a call if, you know, they're looking at that picture. So the inspection is right at the hand of the people, and not dependent on someone coming over to do the inspection. And that has resulted on, at least on two wheeler, we have seen right now more than, you know, 1.3 million product, you know, policies sold till date. You know, motor overall, we've seen more than 34 million quotes. There are millions of quotes that the users are taking to understand the product, to learn the journey, and eventually over time they are converting into an insurance product, insurance customer for us. So that's how we are placed. On the mutual fund side, we've partnered with almost every AMC, having a very wide spread of products. We were the first ones to go out and launch an UPI based SIP product, and we've seen, you know, millions of customers coming in and, you know, setting up their SIPs, you know, you know, on UPI led SIP on PhonePay. Overall, we have seen an annual growth of more than 250% plus in terms of new investors that we have seen. On gold and, you know, silver as well. Gold, we are leading the market, being able to help people buy digital gold. We are the first ones, you know, to offer silver, you know, to be bought, silver coins to be bought by customers. We have gold coins that customers can buy. And lastly, you know, we've just launched the SIP for gold. So, you know, you can actually do an SIP on gold, accumulate, and order for a coin to be delivered at your doorstep. So, you know, bunch of things, great traction that we've seen across all the products that we have launched. You know, tried to innovate on products, on journeys, on experiences across insurance, gold, mutual fund, through SIP, through digital gold, through self inspection, and has resulted in massive adoption of all the products that we've launched in the ecosystem on the app today.
Thanks, Hemant. I think super insightful. Just wanted to round out by saying that I think if the numbers that we just heard from PhonePay are representative of the broader industry, it just speaks to the tremendous potential left in terms of just democratizing financial inclusion in the country, and the power of technology itself to create such a level playing field.
Yeah.
So thank you once again, Hemant. Thanks for joining, and that will conclude today's episode.
Thanks for having me over. Thank you.
PhonePay Pulse, Beat of Progress, powered by Money Control.